can you share some examples? I know like we worked on one together where we were able to bring a new product to the market in 60 days from
Oh,
thinking
that's fun.
about it to putting it on the shelf. So
Yeah, and that's such a great example. 60 days for a physical product from inception of an idea to being on shelves is
unreal.
astronomically
Mm,
fast. And I love this project. It's a favorite one because, of course, I met Murph there.
yeah.
And, it was working with Carlton United Breweries on a new to category launch for their RTDs in the actual brand and its first launch of a seltzer. And why that was really breakthrough is we ran what was called a design sprint. People know them in different shapes and forms, but the purpose of this one was really to bring the agency in house, to bring the marketing teams, all the decision makers into this design sprint framework. And then us as the sort of innovators, we brought the ideas to life. So we translated the brand, the pack, and all the communications into real life physical prototypes. So when we went to the consumer groups, which we did iteratively over about 3 days, each time we could test a new iteration, refining that brand proposition, refining the pack proposition, and refining, the whole proposition as a whole. Like, what's the concept we're trying to convey? Do people want to buy this? What effects is it between a squat can and a slim can?
Hmm.
Because when you're going, especially for them, when they're going into a new category that they've never been in before, it was so critical for them to get the best feedback and insights they could, and they wouldn't have been able to do that without the physical prototype. So for them, and it'll be great to hear what you thought of it being on the other side, Adam, and being with Carlton United. But for us, it was all about enabling your team to de-risk and accelerate that development process.
Yeah, look, I think that I was leading innovation there at the time, and we looked at it and we said seltzers were huge in the US, and they're going to come here, and they're going to come here quickly, and first to market's going to be really important. And we knew all the principles around design sprints, and I just said to my team, let's just take the what would have to be true
Yeah.
mentality and say, for us to develop the product, the packaging, the branding, all of these kinds of things over 4 days, or I think it was 3 days or 4 days talking to consumers, what would have to be true. So we had you and your team there ready to print new labels, to 3D print different can shapes, these kinds of things. We brought in our design agency who was sitting in the back room listening to the feedback and going, oh, okay, the font is like the font's too plain. Let's try something with a serif. And they were mocking it up while we're still talking to consumers. And we had our technical team in the kitchens at the food science lab there, changing the amount of alcohol. Like, it tasted too much like vodka. Okay, we'll put less of it in. They were changing the flavor proportions and mixing new flavors in the background. People said maybe the lime should have some mint. They got some, and they were ready to go, and we were changing things live. So it was all about asking that question of not why can't we do it, but well, what would have to be true for us to do this? And we didn't answer every single final part of the product there, but by iterating so quickly, that's how we were able to then get in the remainder of these 60 days, the actual product, no pun intended, because it was called actual, up and on the shelf so quickly. So that was huge.